Hi, good day everyone. Today we will be exploring about, hi, good day everyone. Today we will be exploring about the concept, nature, and scope of personnel administration. And of course, as usual, I will be presenting to you about the structure of this PDF that I have so that everybody will be guided on how am I going to discuss and share to you the ideas and the thoughts coming from the information presented from the PDF. So we have 1.0, which is we have to know its objectives, the 1.1 introduction, the 1.2 concept of personal administration. There you can see also subtopics below: personal administration, meaning, nature of personal administration. And we have 1.3 personal administration, its evolution and development. We have 1.4 scope of personal administration. Number 1.5, we have conclusion. 1.6, let us sum up. And 1.7, keywords. And 1.8, references. This could actually help you a lot on how to actually do further research based on the information presented. And also we have 1.9, answers to check your progress exercises. So please stand by as we go through to our discussion. So the objectives. So of course, no, kinahanglan gino nga makabalot ka no kung say objective. So after reading the unit, you should be able to, we have number 1, explain the concept of personal administration. Number 2, discuss the nature and meaning of personal administration. So we are going to discuss also its meaning. Number 3, we have to highlight its evolution and development, as this is actually speaks to the chronological order wherein personal administration actually developed all throughout the years until the present time. And discuss the scope of personal administration. So let's move on to the introduction, of course. So people of a country are an important asset for it. So is the case with organizations. The successful functioning of an organization depends on its manpower and quality of leadership. So the manpower by itself does not contribute to the development of an organization. It has to be converted into human resources through systematic planning, adequate training, and proper education. So without growth of human resources called the human capital, goals and objectives of an organization can never be achieved. So human capital can be defined as the sum of total of knowledge, skills, and aptitudes of the people in the society. So development of human resources poses a major challenge for the developing countries like India. Manpower planning is an important tool for developing human resources. Investments in manpower planning do not depreciate. In fact, they increase with the passage of time. Thus, human resources are an important part of the total resources of an organization. The financial resources, physical resources that actually stage to the workplace, machinery, and etc., and technological resources are also very important. It is the human resources which are most vital as they generate the other resources. So tinuod, no? Kaning manpower is more than just the gitawag nato nga machines, no? Because without human, of course, it's very impossible for something or like a machine to actually operate all by themselves. Adequate utilization of human resources would automatically lead to optimum utilization of financial, physical, and technological resources. No organization can achieve the desired goals without effective management of all its resources. But human capital is the most essential element of an organization. As personal administration deals with the management of the human resources, the study of its concept, nature, scope, and development assumes importance. These aspects will be highlighted in this unit. So what is actually the information or the thoughts that we can actually get from its introduction. So of course, it actually explains the importance of the manpower or the human capital. No, the human capital wherein gingon dia no that the birth of personal administration started from the way it actually mixed with kaning gitawag na tog management, at the same time the proper utilization of kaning matag usa kaning human resources. So dili lang, of course, human resources does not only speaks about sa tao physically, but also with its capability, no? So diha no makita ginato, and of course part siya sa kalambuan in general, just like in our country, of course, and just like the other countries also who are well developed, in United States of America, Japan, and so the other rich countries, of course, as we are, if we are going to observe the way they actually put importance on kanibang kaning trabaho, kaning mga pag-invest about not only for a specific nga mga product, but also daghan, no, in general daghan siya of indicator. And it actually, of course, when there is an investor who are actually investing for a business, it cannot be denied that there are also people needed to that particular organization to perform. And that's the very nature of this personal administration, wherein diya siya nagsugod, no, nga when there is the presence of those kaning gitawag na tuog boss, so napoy mga empleyado. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So we have the concept of personal administration. So the tasks of government are increasing every day. So development and welfare orientations have led to the expansion of government and its administrative machinery. So as the tasks, responsibilities, and activities of organizations, whether public or private, multiply, the demands on personnel at every level in terms of efficient discharge of their duties also rise. So thus, the task of personal administration is to assure a steady source of people who can contribute to the success of an organization and meet the growing demands of development. To understand the concept of personal administration, it is very essential to first understand the meaning and nature of the term. So yeah, now we have to understand the nature of its term. Usually what becomes the problem on its system of management as actually applied in an organization is kanino importante kaning concept. How far have you learned? How can you actually define what is personnel administration? So diyan na ang uban for those people kay kanino I believe, no, if you're going to ask me personally, kita no lain-lain magita, like example when someone will ask you, no, nga how are you going to define management? So diha po no say interchangeably management and leadership is magamit siya interchangeably, but they are different on some aspects na daghan. And so there are also leaders, or there are also managers, no, nga I'm sorry, not leaders but managers nga kanano ang ilang abilities, ang ilang skills, ang ilang knowledge is quite different. Like for example, mingon ko ninyo a graduate of business management. So of course, he would actually functionalize differently compared to the human resource management graduate or kanisang mga product of psychology, which is also vertical to the position, no, kaning management, because kaning psychology graduate, they are also capable of performing management positions man sad. So ingon ana no naay managlahi. But even though there are differences, of course, what is very important is for you to understand deeper what is the concept of personal administration. For you, to know more than that, more than what is kaning gihatag, no, gilatag, we can actually understand its concept, its objective, and the scope. And yes, it's very significant also to know its nature. So let's proceed with the meaning of personal administration. So personal administration is the part of administration which is concerned with people at work, with their relationships within an organization. So that's the very basic concept, no? Diyan ang personal administration there is part of administration ko, no? Concerning about the relationships within an organization. So diyan it actually speaks with the person who are actually involved in a particular organization at the same time sa ilahang mga resources. So it refers to the entire spectrum of an organization's interaction with its human resources from recruitment activity to retirement process. Now, take note, later on, we can actually discuss about that one. Diri sa ubos, no, Nadia, no? And yes, it could actually take a long process not to understand what is actually the scope, as it is mentioned that it covers a very wide spectrum, no, sa usa ka organization, no, diha ang interaction, no, towards the leadership, and at the same time the management system, oh na diha, no. So giingon nga recruitment up to the retirement process, and it could actually take a very complex kayo nga mga kuano nga mga event. It involves personal planning and forecasting. So mingon tag personal planning and forecasting, of course it's very important also to know kaning mag personal planning ta class. It's somewhat like if we are going to say something now about sa personal administration, di ano ara nimo makuha diya nga, like for example natin mga IT personnel, we have an accounting, we also have cashier, we also have these people who are actually frontline in performing kaning kwan, no, like for example if you are in the organization that actually the nature of an organization is production, so of course you have to to secure, no, different positions sa managlahi-lahi ng mga department. That's the very nature also. And forecasting also, you have to forecast something. What is to forecast? So forecast in terms of policy, forecast in terms of mga necessary skills that are actually required for a particular job, or kaning like for example from time to time, if you are one of the personnel manager, or matawag na to, no, you belong to the management, to the area of management, of course it is part of your concern also to design, no, kaning gitawag og job design, apil na ano, providing job description, and of course the very vital among all is kaning gitawag nito job analysis. So part na di ano aron nimo perform kaning gitawag nito forecasting. So appraising human performance, so kaning pag-appraise of human performance, because that is one way also that you are going to put basis on how to give the salary, how to give promotions, how to give actually how are you going to plan for something, especially if that particular person never suited to that kind of job. So di sad pwede no nga tuan dito siya putbulon, but it might be very helpful also to examine what are the other potentials of that particular person, wherein you can actually give him a chance to be transferred to another type of job. Bas hindi excel siya dito. Selection and staffing. Of course, selection, recruitment, and selection is the very muna siya pinaka very basic, wherein of course you're going to recruit, o kaning methods of recruitment class dili ra biya kay usa, no, kaning methods of recruitment daghan kayo, na mga advertising media, na no. So kaning coordinating with local government units and so on and so forth, daghan kayo, no. So it's very important also on staffing. How are you going to hire someone to be situated in each corresponding departments? Training and development, what are the trainings that are actually suited for the person who are actually hired in the organization? Aside from that, dili naman kay diha raman kutob ang training, no, nga kanang before ka mo onboard sa imong trabaho, diha pa mo start ang training, dili po diha. But of course training is also very important to maintain the kaning gitawag nato no, kanabang standard nga sistema sa pagpanarbaho. Now like kung sa may mahimong basis ana, like for example, of course everybody mingunta for example lang call center agent. So sa call center agent, aside from the fact that before they are going to onboard sa ilang trabaho, they have to undergo training, and part of the training is what we call monitoring. So kanang monitoring diha, what is the purpose of that is in order for you to be able to shall we say provide precautions if ever there are certain deviations sa ilang performance. So it's very important also, no, nga kanang the standardized quality of service should not be compromised. So the training, it is in a continuous process. Yeah. Next, we have what we call kaning gitawag na to maintenance and improvement. So part of that, no, performance and productivity. Personal administration is closely related to an organization's overall effectiveness. So dili lang gid siya kay mo-mention lang no og mga certain task, but of course it actually sige kaingon lang ako gani, it covers a very wide spectrum. Okay? So the question is there a standard definition about personal administration? So of course no. Just like for example, if somebody asks you, no, how are you going to uh kaning mingon ka, pangutan-on ka, class no, what is love? So mo sa ngunana no, that every people has its own way of understanding about what love is all about. So inana po ng personal administration, there is no specific and standard meaning about that one. But one thing is for sure, of course, there are lots of kaning mga writers, no, na mga writers nga nihatag sila kaugalingong idea, especially kaning mga kuano, mga doctors who are also sharing their ideas about management. Like, for example, FLIPO. According to FLIPO, personal function is concerned with the procurement, development, compensation, integration, and maintenance of the personnel of an organization. So just like the things that I mentioned a while ago, like kanang human performance, selection, and staffing, that is also part of that. No, gigamit lang og lain nga word, no? And kanina lang hinoy na puno kaning procurement. So of course mingon tag procurement as part of the top management, no, kaning sa personal administration or personnel management, diya naka diha sa top management. Of course you are going to take the lead sa organization. Now kaning mingon tag procurement class, what is the very concern in this kind of imuha nga kuano, imuha nga responsibilities for you to ensure that there is a continuous unsa man na continuous siya nga kaning ayuda ug sa ato pang gitawag, no, ayuda by means of unsa man provision of kaning mga necessary nga mga equipments, necessary nga mga tools, necessary nga mga kaning mga goods, no, that are very useful, no, to maintain the continuous production or continuous nga pagkuano pagpanarbaho diha so sa organization. So like for example, mingon ta sa MIPSA, no, let me just cite an example, no, about kani maghimo og mga sinina. So of course they have to ensure that there is enough, no, nga na enough nga para nga mga fabrics nga para magamit, no, para nga dili mahamper ang usa ka operation nga bisig mingon nahutdan. So of course there must be a buffer. That is part of that, no, kaning sa procurement mo, mamay canvassing, bidding, ana, and so on and so forth. So the very concern there is there must be a continuous or na gitawag diya og sustainable nga maka-supplement sa operation. Okay? Development compensations, of course, that speaks the salary, wage, and other compensations that are actually mandated by law. Integration and maintenance of the personnel of an organization for the purpose of contributing toward the accomplishment of the organization's major goals and objectives. So diha, now, kaning training, part of that, no, as I mentioned a while ago, Bill Yoder uses the term manpower management. So instead of using the personnel management, he used the term manpower management instead of personnel management. So includes both labor relations and personnel administration within its ambit. So there are labor relations and personnel administration. Personnel administration by means of management, taking the lead, performing as can you do supervising, exercise the company's policy. So part na pag-exercise of company's policy, part na paghatag og sanctions if there are things that are kinabang gibuhat nga sayop so sa organization. So part of that, arita sa personal by the way, arita sa kining labor relations. So of course our responsibility is not just only limited sa tuang kaugalingon nga interpretation by exercising management and by exercising our power, but also to unsa man, to always follow with kaning labor code. Kay kita no, diya sa Pilipinas, it's very famous diri sa tuwa no, we are using this what we call labor code or balaod sa mga manggagawa. Now, kanang balaod sa mga manggagawa, of course, that is actually vested coming from the Constitution. So, all of those provisions are to be strictly followed, or else, of course, you can actually face a consequence. So, that's part of the responsibility. Mabitaw na nga, it is not just an easy kanang gitawag nito manir kay na kanang management manir kay na, no, because dili lang kay ngo nag-require na sa skills about how to manage people. Wala siya nag-require about knowing only about what are the needs of the people nga ma-provide sa usa ka organization, but also dapat pud na po tay background sa law, because of course with just a simple mistakes pwede kita nga mamiligro sa atuang nga profession no, nga pwede ta makiha ana no. So next we have, according to Thomas G. Spade's Personal Administration, a code of the ways of organizing and treating individuals at work so that they will each get the greatest possible realization of their intrinsic abilities, thus attaining maximum efficiency for themselves and their group, and thereby giving to the enterprise of which they are part. It's determining competitive advantage and optimum results. So sa Lactod of Historia class, according to Thomas G. Spade, you have to provide. No? Kaning personal administration is you have to organize, treat individual. How are you going to treat them? So gibutan siya there nga treat them, but that doesn't mean nga treat nga in a very shallow way of understanding nga kana lang imo lang trataron, but also you have to take good care of them. Manano, you have to provide them, and you have to understand, and at the same time provide no whatever will be kanang pwede nimo nga mahatag sa ila no, for them to be able to perform no better. Or of course kung imos lang tagaan og maayong pagtagad, you're going to exercise good management also. It's not an impossible thing nga sila maninguha po sila tarong sa ilang panarbaho nga ma-execute nila tarong ilang trabaho. So in the end, it's a give and take process, no? When you in yourself, you belong to the top management, and the top management there is very well organized, of course, it's not impossible to actually create a very healthy organization. So according to Michael Hosius, defines personal administration as the field of management which has to do with planning, organizing, and controlling various operative functions of procuring, developing, maintaining, and utilizing a labor force such that the ABC objectives for which the company is established are attained economically and effectively. So diyan no, sa ato pa according to Michael Hosius, no, part diyan no atong balikon no diya atong himay-mayo ti sa planning. So of course this is the job of a manager nor a director. So planning, you have to plan, organize. So of course part of that to organize, to make arrangement, sign for made arrangement, the common way of organizing, no? Like for example, you are being organized by department. You are being organized by means of kaning kuana to no sa atong paghatag o provide og sweldo sa mga trabahante. At the same time also to exercise policy or controlling. So of course part of that the two has to go together to organize and control. This is also very important. This is also the job of a manager. And of course this is something that enables, or this is something that requires the manager to perform no various operative functions and so on and so forth. Tawag siya operative functions, meaning it's because you become the brain of the organization. You're part of the brain. Kung dili mo gani ka manager, o at least galamay ka sa manager, and you are part of that, you are committed to, or you are obligated to, of course, mupahimutang sa mga trabahante. Now, the objectives for which the company established are attained economically and effectively. So, of course, all of the materials, all of the resources in combination with the people who are actually willing to actually perform with their job, so that could somehow help the organization nga dili masayang ang kwarta, and everything would actually result into a very productive kayo nga resulta. Objectives of all levels of personnel are served to the highest possible degree. So it does not only suggest nga at least you can reach the median or you can reach the tunga-tunga, no? But it actually requires the highest way of kaning gitawag og quality service, no? How can you actually encourage those people that they can actually have life sa ilang nga pagpanarbaho, nga mingon ka nga kaning nga klase nga trabaho, if only no the company are willing to give all compensations of the efforts that you have exerted. But of course it is on the basis on how you actually perform with your job. So yeah, no, objectives of the community are duly considered and served. So of course, do not just only think about like pareha sa una no nga ilang yun ang una ang mga tao trabahante ra gyud no mura og kanang working machines. It's not like that. Treat people kanino you have to treat people in a very humane way, no nga imo silang gipangga, tagaan mo sila, gi-provide mo sila sa pinanglan. One way also, that those people are also the unit of the community. Do not forget about that one. So, when you are actually giving them the exact compensations of the effort that they have exerted, in return, of course, you can actually gain profit. And at the same time, you are also helping those people. No, nga mulambo sila nga ang ilang atong community, of course, in general, dili ta magkalisod. Mabitanan nga sa atong country nganong lisod ng Philippines because a lot of people are or a lot of kaning percentage of the people are still unemployed. So mo na nga ang jobs sa government, of course, they will be inviting investor to actually create jobs. Nana. Okay? So I hope that's clear to everybody. Next, we have the Institute of Personnel Management in UK. So there you know, from here it actually discussed no to the what is this the development no as the year goes on and on. So defines personnel management as the part of the management function which is primarily concerned with the human relationships within the organization. So nindot po lang definition no because they highlighted this what we call the human relationships in an organization. How important it is. So I know everybody knows already how important it is to be harmonious in the organization. How important it is to actually kind of suit organization that everybody are treating like a member of a family from each other, no? O diha makuha gyud nato no ma-establish na tong gitawag na tong teamwork. So its objective is the maintenance of those relationships on a basis which by consideration of the well-being of the individual. So di ano nindot kay no the well-being of the individual, knowing that the people who are actually working in an organization also have dreams and they also have needs that are needed to be provided. Okay, the above mentioned definition was replaced in 1966 so na replaced by a more elaborate definition. It reads, personal management is that part of the management functions which is concerned with people at work and with the relationships within an enterprise. Of course, the people at work and the enterprise with the investor, no? Kaning mga namumuhunan, no? Its aim is to bring together and develop an effective organization, the men and women who make up an enterprise, and having regard to the well-being of an individual and of working groups to enable make their best contribution to its success. So meaning to say, mas gihimo pa siyang very complex kay ang meaning no nga it's not only prioritizing men, no, that it's not only recognizing that men are mo no nahimo sila ang men mo nahimo nga nahimo nga mas dominant sa society, but also to put credits on the effort that are to be exerted by women. nga if men can actually perform job, also women, and the combination of the two are one of the important contributions or one of the important kayong factors na makatabang para sa paglambo sa usa ka organization. And yes, that is proven, no, and tested already. In particular, personnel management is concerned with the development of policies governing. We have number one, manpower planning. So as I mentioned a while ago, no, manpower planning, of course, the very basic is for you to actually look back to the job analysis. Next, review. No, you have to review also. You have to review the budget. No, like you cannot just actually mingon ka kuwang nagnapo di ka tao. So we have to actually provide staffs that are to be situated to the position. But of course, do not forget, you have to review if the company can actually afford to pay, no? Sa swelduhan at the same time sa government mandated benefits anang napo katrabahante. Do not just put everything in a rush, no nga imo ding hire lang ka. Nyawani mo na review the idea na to the extent ng organization puno na kay tao nya di ka kabayad. So, of course, there are corresponding mga obligations, no, para ana. There are corresponding also that the corresponding punishments that we can actually pwede na to ma-encounter, no, mga consequence nga ipahamtong nato sa pinaagis balaod. Recruitment, selection, placement, and termination, that's part of it, no? Education and training, career development. So education and training, it does not only speaks about sa tuang pag-eskwela, but also diya, no, continuous ang education, continuous ang learning process diya within the organization. To kani, no, together with the training. Kaning pag-training nato part nga po na siya education, no? You will be educated about how to improve something or how to actually avoid something para nga dili ta madisgrasya or makalesya sa atong productivity nga level. And we have terms of employment. So method and standards of remuneration. So terms of employment, daghan kay class, no, na kay job order, na mga unsap na part-time prehana mo, no, napoy uban nga kuano sila seasonal ano daghan kayo. Method and standards of remuneration, so that's how you can actually receive your pay, no. But it also depends on dili, of course, no, magdepende gina sa tuang kining positioning system, magdepende pod, and also to the nature of job, no. Working conditions and employees services, so diha na ato ang working conditions. It has to be the kind of organization that you have. Dapat pod nga no nga, like for example, ang imong pong surroundings pod, it would also fit. Like for example, ang inyong trabahoan kaning mga inyong organization, ang inyong organization diha, no, is about kanang mga kasi tao na mga hardware, no, na mga saminto, na mga saminto, na mga unsa pa nag basdra, na mga plywood. So of course, it's not safe to actually use a very closed place nga with air condition, no, because patay masakit ang tao ana, no, kay napay mga abog niya aman aircon pa gyud. So of course, and also like other example sa call center, sa usa ka call center, of course it has to be very conducive. It has to be very, like for example, it is very comfortable, no, kay like for example, it's not easy to actually sit down for a long period of time nya muna, no, init alimuot. So it could also affect with your performance. So that is part of the concern sa kaning nasa management. Formal and informal communication and consultation, both through representatives of employees and at all levels throughout the organization. So of course, no, kaning gitawag natong formal and informal communication, daghan magway. Like formal communication, there will be meeting that is actually arranged by the top management, or else formal communication through letter, formal communication through open forum, naman, no. And formal communication is pwede po, no, there will be someone, no, nga that will actually represent from the group, no, diha nya. Of course, kana siya nga representante, that is someone also credible and someone who is actually chosen coming from the group. Na informal communication. So pwede po, like for example, pwede po na matawag informal communication sa usa ka organization, ang kaning gitawag na to kaning survey, no? If you are a supervisor, you're going to ask one of the employee from that particular department. You're going to ask him about the situation, ask him about what are the difficulties that they have encountered. So part of that, negotiation and application of agreements on wages and working conditions, procedure for the avoidance and settlement of disputes. So this is something very technical because naman diri na mag-apply man natong balao diri. So negotiation and application of agreements. So could be no before you're going to let that person actually perform his job or like for example newly hired na siya. Of course, it is very important also to conduct orientation for him to be able to know what are the policy and at the same time the way he can actually get his wages or salary. No? What are the benefits that the organization are actually prepared for the person if ever mahire na siya. Okay? And so on and so forth na other mga conditions like for example mga night shift differential, mga nana, part of that. Okay? So next we have personnel management is also concerned with the human and social implications of change in internal organization and methods of working economic and social changes in the community. So of course, yes, true to that, no? Wala lang po siya nag-stick sa definition like just like the normal way that we understand personnel management, but also appeal po diha no ang mga changes. Like for example, right now, if last time no the concern of personal administration is focusing only for those favorable only for the investors, but later then they started to realize that there are also these people who actually have needs that are needed to be provided para maka-perform flag tarong. And also part of that is kanina to anticipate with whatever will be the changes brought by kaning hagit sa teknolohiya karon, that everybody has to dapat makasabay sila, no? Part po na siya mabutang po na nato siya no nga part po na siya sa area nga dapat po i-touch sa ato ang gitawag og personnel management. So thus we can say that personnel administration deals with the recruitment, placement, training, disciplinary measures, monetary and non-monetary incentives, and employment benefits of the human beings or the personnel within an organization. It also deals with the nature of human relationship in an organization, interaction between human beings within an organization, and interaction of human beings with relating to policy formulation, planning, policy implementation, social change, and aims at optimum utilization of human resources in order to achieve maximum results within minimum wastage of funds and technology. So di ano, sa Binisaya pa na siya, so of course, di ano, ato ang makita ang pag-hire, pagpanwildo, ang pag-manage, ang pag-exercise sa policy, ang pag-create sa policy, ang pagpasabot sa policy sa mga trabahante, ang pagpasabot sa trabahante about sa mga pagpahamtong sa mga kalapasan nga ilang mabuhat if ever. Other than that, also there are ways of compensations, what they can actually expect to receive. Also interaction about the human beings, the utilization of the human capital, no, that actually speaks with the skills, knowledge, and talent, and so on and so forth. Part na di ano, kaning kausaban hagit gikan sa technology that to ensure also that the people are actually wala sila na left behind, they can actually go with the age of kaning technology na makasabay sila. So that's very important also para to avoid wastage of funds, because kanibiyang funds sa company, of course, diya po nakasalalay ang lifeline sa atuang sweldo. So if that particular organization will no longer can no longer generate funds, of course, normally it will resort to this what we call downsizing, manaktak. Okay? So Personal administration is variously known as personal management, labor relations, manpower management, labor welfare management, and etc. But the term management and industrial relations, many at times the terms labor relations and industrial relations are used interchangeably with personal administration, but it is primarily to the relation between management and organized labor. So diyan, no? Tinaw kayo that it's the management and the labor, no? The organized labor. So the personal administration aims at effective utilization of human resources. So dimensionals ba bo, no? Desirable working conditions among all members of the organization. So tanan from different department, of course, everybody has to actually enjoy desirable working condition. Maximum development. It's not only minimum but maximum. Kaning gitawag na to no nga personal growth. So I think every trabahante always long for a personal growth, and sometimes this can be a ground of an employee no to actually decide to depart from the company or kana nga muhawa sila because for them basic lang ang trabaho, less kayo ang kanang gitawag ng personal and professional development. So that's one way also that you can also ensure that the tenureship of that particular person in working with a particular organization, dapat to nga ma-ensure nga ni-grow po siya. Every year, every moment nga nag-perform siya ang trabaho, meeting the organization's social and legal responsibilities. So of course, aside from the fact that you have this what we call the moral view of social responsibility, to provide all of the needs sa inyong mga trabahante, that is one way of meeting the social responsibility. Not only providing the needs, but also respecting their rights as an individual, as their human rights, no? As now, legal responsibilities, whatever will be the nakasaad, no? Unsay may mga kuan ano sa ato ang constitution regarding to the labor code, it has to be followed. No, ato jud na tumanon, dili ginato taken for granted because kabalo naman kita no nga pwede ta mapasakad kaso, and there are government agency who are willing to take good care sa anang mga inana nga mga problems. According to Michael G. Hosius, personal management should aim at attaining economically and effectively the organization goals, serving to the highest possible degree the individual goals, and preserving and advancing the general welfare of the community. So community that actually speaks to the people who are working in the organization. So to obtain these objectives, personal administration is concerned with planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, and controlling the cooperative efforts of individuals within an organization. So diano cooperative jud ang giingon, dimension. Meaning to say everybody has to work on together as one. Because that is the very matawag na ito, no? Mao jud pinaka-aim sa usa ka organization, not to be one. Digit pwede nga magkatibulaag mo diha, kagubot. Okay? So next, let's proceed with the nature of personal administration. So personal function is crucial in an administrative organization, so the organization cannot afford to ignore it. Hence, it becomes a basic responsibility of the management, be in the government or in semi or non-government organizations. So the changes in the socio-economic environment has its effects on management. So the management environment keeps changing due to the changes that occur in the total socio-economic environment. The political environment also affects the work environment in an organization. Such changes get reflected in personal administration. So these changes can be, number one, changing mix of the personal entering government service organization. So that's number one, no? Mixed personnel entering government service organization. So coming from a mixed personnel, of course, they have different field of specialties. So diyan no, also po na siya maka-affect din no na that could cause change sa organization. Changing values of personnel. So of course kanang no matag usa sometimes di kalikaya no nga sa usa ka organization, they are flexing muscles. There are mga kuan ba, mga people who are actually flexing their muscles nga magpaila nga sila may mas labing hawd sa tanan nga mga nanarbaho diya. because they belong to the top management, they are from accounting, they are from whatever will be unsa yung position nila diha, or because of the kind of position that they have by means of their kaning sa ilaha mga naabtan in terms of educational attainment, silang skills, ano, it cannot be denied nga na may encounter nga mga increasing expectations of the government from their employees and increasing expectations of the people from the government at different levels. So di ano, tinaw rin gino, tino kayo no, expectations also ko na government towards employees. So di ano, syempre, the government itself established standards. Mabta ng ang ubano, you cannot actually apply to the government not unless you will not be hired, no, to a position for regularization, not unless you can actually provide yourself kaning gitawag na to licensure examination. That's part of kanya tungod ana, no, that could actually create kani expectations towards the particular person nga imong gihire sa trabaho, because you expected too much from that person, and sometimes usahay di kalikayan nga ang ato ring expectation is too much nya ang ma-performer day sa tao kung ana day, no. So sometimes there are also biases that may actually happen na diha sa organization about anang mga problem. Expectations of the people also towards government, like for example one way ano mo hata ko yung example, if mo trabaho ni kay gobyerno mingon din sila no nga nganong wala man kay double pay nga gobyerno na yung gitrabahoan. Take note, it's also very important to understand the nature of his job. So may nature of his job, unsa man siya, job order, part-time, unsa man siya, so that you can also figure out uh, the compensations that he can only avail sa iyang trabaho, no? So mabdo na salary grade by salary grade yan na to ma-identify pila sweldo sa usa ka tawo. Thus, management is affected by the changes in social, economic, and political scenario. In fact, it has to keep up with these changes. So we should never give up. What is the encouragement there? Do not give up. Of course, you have to cope up from different changes. So Diano, I will just leave it to you to read about that one, because that's also very important. Now, personnel are required to perform line and staff functions. Activities directly related to the primary objective of an organization are called as line functions. So, kaning mga top management gitawag sa line functions. The staff functions are those which facilitate and assist the performance of line work. So, yeah, no? And they are in the nature of secondary activities and enhance the effectiveness of the line agencies. So, yeah, because from top management, we have tawag organizational structure. So, of course, everything like planning, the directives, also coming, that would actually come from the top management down to its subordinates. Okay? Personnel administration does not always function in a formal organization. So no organization can solely run on the basis of formal rules and regulation. It comprises human beings who are structured in an authority and responsibility network in order to carry out the tasks and activities for the fulfillment of organizational objectives. So this formal structure is supplemented, supported, or sometimes obstructed on occasions take over by the informal organization. So informal organization grows within the formal organization. It is a natural phenomenon and is based on social and cultural relation among the personnel of formal groups. Political, economic, and psychological factors also contribute to the growth of informal organization. Do not forget, class, ay mo kalibog. Mga tag-informal organization, of course, mo ba inali nga panultihon ba nga sa usa ka bulig ng lubi na dyan ay buang. So mo po na, no? There are also people who are being called, gitawag na siya, no, to make it more flavory. Gitawag yung siya informal nga mga organization. But what is actually meant with that is kitong mga people na nagiusahan na namin mga tao nga mga baliko, giba? Nga, like for example, they are not going to support a particular program, they're not going to support a particular, they're not going to adhere with a particular policy which is actually imposed. Para nila, no, they actually tend to question about that one. Maybe gi-mention dia psychological factors maka-affect siya, political, economic. That's one way. Mingon tag political, of course, this is something that talks about influence. Who actually influence this person to actually to actually have himself a courage to violate policy. Example na to violate policy. So maybe there's that someone nga nagdiktar niya tuom ka na ako bitaw na sa una ginana man ako pero wa ko na unsa wala ram ko tagay sanctions. Ay nana no? Oh, it's a matter of influence. Number two, economic. Oh, kaning example lang dili man tanan narbaho pareha og kanang life status na may uban pobre na poy uban dato. So of course, at some point also na may uban no mingon ano day nga football ko may kanara kung sa ligan trabahoan pamay lang trabaho no yeah, one way lang na no example psychological factors o also kaning how we actually accept the how we accept how we actually interpret how we feel. So apil na siya like for example tagaan ta mingon minyo basta ang malit pabayro 50. So psychologically mingon ka minimum ra magani among sweldo dugay na kay ko wagi tubo-tubo niya umalit menusa bagi 50 na unsa naman ning tawo nay sa mga hustisya na no. So nana ko no psychologically the how you interpret about that one your concept about how does the particular policy serves with the majority of people magdepende. The function of personal administration are becoming more complicated day by day. So din ginakalikayan plus even now no nga naagit tayo ka na nga we can always encounter changes every day. So muna anda kong hagit diha is on how an organization and on how the people who are actually coming from the top management no mo initiate no mo initiate sa iyang mga downlines nga initiate strategy initiate something like for example no matter what happens of course kaning hagit sa kaning mga kausaban karon sa atong like for example coming sa una nagtrabaho ta physical meet up wapay pandemic but right now nanata karon nagtrabaho na online na even kami mga teacher online na so of course ang pangutana diha does that something mo give up na ang education di na lang ta magklase kay kana nga nausab magkalit of course they have to find ways to adapt they have to find ways to sustain no to sustain and to still exist. Okay, mommy, what is important there is you can actually apply strategy on how to cope up and at the same time you have to be very flexible and you also have to anticipate, no? Dili lang kay pag flexiblean but you have to anticipate for the another changes that might actually happen for tomorrow. So ingon ana. Okay? Check your progress. So I think that's the end of my discussion. I hope you have learned a lot from this discussion that we have. So thank you so much and have a great day, everyone. This is Rodolfo Padro Jr., your instructor. I'm sorry, your instructor. Thank you so much.